So good morning, class. I am Nirali Patel, your socials teacher. So we'll start with the third period of our class. So in the previous class, what do we studied? We studied about the administration of a kingdom, right? So today we are going to start with the life of people in a kingdom. I'm going to share my screen. So let's start with the PPT. So same chapter and the third topic of the new empires and kingdoms is life of the people in a kingdom. So we all know apart from the officers and kings, there were ordinary people living in a kingdom. The inscriptions on walls of temples and caves and even coins were made by the rulers and important officials in the kingdom. So we all know that whatever inscriptions archaeologists are finding or have found till years have been inscribed by the kings of that time. So we came to know about, or we come to know about history through this type of sources of history, through inscriptions, or we have manuscripts, we have past written books, we have paintings, cave paintings. So from all these sources, we come to know about history. So this were made by the rulers and important officials of the kingdom of that time. So they give us important information about how the kings and important and wealthy people lived. But most of the people in the kingdom were ordinary people. We all know that this important people, kings, official, they were countable in number. They were like few people who administered the kingdom. But apart from that, there were ordinary people who were living under the rule of that king. Their life must have been very different from the lives of this rich and powerful people. Now we all know that there is a kingdom, there is a king, and we called it in Hindi as Praja, Raja ki Praja. So this Praja is ordinary people. So we all know that apart from this rich and powerful people, their life was different as compared to this ordinary people. How did they live then? The answer is we guess how their lives must have been from incidences mentioned in different stories. Some travelers who visited these kingdoms have written about ordinary people too. Why they have mentioned travelers? Because at that time, travelers were not ordinary people. They were some kind of priests. They were, you can say, people who wandered around different kingdoms to know about how the lives differ from one kingdom to another kingdom. So the job, you can say, of this traveler was to visit and just to observe the life of people, and whatever the observations they had, they noted down or they wrote in their books, and through these books we come to know about the different life of people. Some travelers noticed that untouchability was practiced by the people. So we have heard about this term untouchability. So since then we are, or till now we are finding, or we have seen that people do practice untouchability in today's world also. But from that time, they have been observed that untouchability practice was followed by the people. People who belonged to the lowest caste were not allowed to interact with others. They had to do everything separately. We know what is the meaning of untouchability. That means a person who is of lower caste is not allowed to or is not being touched by the people of higher classes. That person is not allowed to enter the temples where these people go. They have different temples for them. They have different wells to fetch water. So these people or this practices was being observed by the travelers. There were so many wars that were fought all the time. So the army must have traveled a lot. Now we all know that they at that time they didn't had cars or buses or to travel or to fight to fought wars. So they traveled on the chariots, you can say, on the elephants, on the horses. And now you have been watching movies where you kind this type of historical movies where you find that the king is having a war against another king. So you have been watching what type of or how did they travel from one kingdom, one place to another place to fight a war. There are stories which tell us that armies were their elephants and horses, often destroyed a lot of villages in their path. Now, again, we know that at that time they didn't had concrete roads or tar roads or proper roads through which they can travel. They had to travel from jungles to jungles, villages to villages. So on their ways, their elephants and horses have destroyed a lot of villages in their path. So from this also, the travelers have observed this kind of things and they have noted down. And from this, we come to know that how they might have lived or how did they travel. So that's it for today's class. We have this much slides only.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.